Wielkie brawa, 2-0 w starciach, proszę Państwa.
Jeszcze raz. Sprego?
Well, I didn't die, not once.
Pierwszy w historii festiwali historycznych nabieg na publiczność wykonany 500.
But I was reserved, so most of the time I never even got a chance to get up there. They were doing such a good job. The reserves didn't even need to fill the gaps. So
Is it pretty fucking insane?
it's crazy, absolutely crazy.
What do you like?
No, I like it. I like it, but it's completely different. When you see those Dane axes coming down, it's they're not watching out for your feet. They're not, don't get caught.
When you think of Viking, you think of the quintessential Norseman, tall, blonde-haired, perhaps having big horns on his helmet or something silly like that, right? But what's interesting about being in Jomsborg is it truly is a mercenary army. When you go out and you do these events, you'll see people from England, from Texas, from Denmark, Sweden, Italy, Chile. Like, it is a international organization.
We saw how hard the last fight was. They're bringing us to a standstill. They're figuring out what we're doing. So, don't suck your cocks just yet. We have to fight harder tomorrow. We just fought the first day at Wolin. We used our well-trained tactics of the units that know what they're doing. Obviously it's a plan I'm not going to reveal on camera, but we won all 3 fights. It's going to get harder. The last fight was really hard. I was off my feet twice and dragged out by my own men and stood up again. It was tough, really tough, but it was good. And tonight we're going to celebrate with a exclusive Jomsborg party, which everyone's invited to.
Just let the gods hear us! Jomsborg!
Don't even feel it. It's a kind of a hybrid between a Spangen helm and a conical helm. It's 16 gauge, which is a little on the light side for full contact, but it has been heat tempered, so it should be strong enough for the full contact stuff out in Europe. I'd be the first person to admit that I'm a little off, but I've never hurt anybody out of anything other than self-defense. When I was doing physical training, I always kind of felt like it was to attain some kind of abstract fighting status, even before the Jomsborg group. So coming into that basically was a big milestone for me, because whenever I discovered this group and saw that there were so many opportunities to take, you know, doing local fighting events and fighting events abroad, like, that was it for me. I pretty much, I walked away from a lot of things. I walked away from a very conventional life. I used to work, you know, 40, 50 hours a week, just like everybody else, and I've kind of like made a conscious decision to shuck some of that off and accept less material possession and less living comforts, so I could spend more of my time training and fighting and preparing for these fighting shows here in Texas and abroad. I can't really rationally explain why it's so important to me to be a good fighter with ancient weapons, but I just kind of have like this, you could call it genetic memory, you could call it, I don't know, being crazy, maybe even a little bit. I really think that I'm doing it for very legitimate, personal, and even spiritual reasons. I don't think that like I'm like this like super sociopathic, violent person that wants to hurt people, but at the same time, I think that there's an art to being able to cultivate this kind of life. Well, today this is really, to be honest with you, it's a light kit. So the male is just to kind of like give the look, but we could still work in the super hot Texas summer.
Having these guys out here is huge. It's set dressing, it's actors, it's atmosphere that the kids really get into and appreciate. And these kids, let me tell you, they get into it. All right, everybody hydrated?
Sir, yes, sir.
Everybody had enough food to eat via snack?
Sir, yes, sir.
The Rangers Apprentice Camp is kind of a unique situation for us because it's our only camp that operates in a different timeline. It's a fantasy camp, kind of a medieval fantasy camp. And it's got Vikings, and it's got, you know, the Irish and the English and the Italians, and it provides us with an opportunity to have a lot of these cultures present at the camp. It was really, really impressive. Having 52 kids behind me this morning come down and see the encampment.
So we were hired to come out to build an encampment, to do some small part acting and engage with the rest of the camp to kind of build this immersion atmosphere for the kids. So we're going to have a good duel, big duel at the end with the villain. This is an opportunity for the Elag to come make a little money. All this money is not going to us as individuals, it's going into the group fund for our encampment, to build on it, to get a trailer perhaps, or more tents, or bringing Joms Vikings over from Europe to train us for training events. So it's kind of a collective pool. In the Jomsborg Elag, there is a induction process that each new recruit will be asked to take part in if he has developed enough affinity with the group, proficiency in the fighting system, and overall just kind of like zeal and love for the culture. When a recruit is brought into the fold of the Elag here in Texas, we have a very unique piece of silver, and part of the induction ceremony is for the steersman to give a gift of silver, and the silver is to remind the inductee that he is oath-bound. And once silver is given in response to an oath, that oath cannot be retracted under any circumstances. The steersman will, with his ritual weapon that he holds, will ask the gods to attend, and he will summon Odin and Frey to witness the induction. It felt like ritual, it felt like ceremony. Everyone was gathered, words were shared, talk of oaths, and talk of committing to a path, and committing to a steersman, a leader, and following him. These kind of things really strike deep in me. It was cleansing. It cleansed a new path.
The greatest Vikings that had lived were the Joms Vikings. They were the only military brotherhood that's known to have existed in the Viking Age, and they were the sort of the Spartans of the Viking scene, and they were an international bunch of free-thinking mercenaries that had allegiance to no particular king. They just existed in their own right. So I formed the Jomsborg Elag with a view to creating a very realistically accurate fighting fraternity of warriors.
This is the Einherjar shield. It is the shield that every member of the Jomsborg Army carries when we go to fight. Part of the motto of the Jomsborg Army is one shield, one brotherhood. Main role of the steersman is basically making sure that his men are ready for combat. In the Joms Viking system, typically in a fight, we take slashes and thrusts to the torso, the shoulders, slashes to the legs above the knee, nothing to the face or throat.
Viking culture was very martial. There was not an army separate from the civilians. All Viking men and women were taught to use weapons, and the martial ethos was very strong throughout the culture, which led to them being quick to fight, being very good at fighting. Well, you know, the word Viking is a pretty porous construct, you know, in terms of history and sociology. It's used to describe usually folks from Northern Europe and Scandinavia from usually around mid-700s to around the mid-1100s.
Main focus in terms of activities is like the fiber crafts, the spinning and weaving, and we're in the middle of learning a bunch about natural dyes and just general, you know, daily life.
We need craftsmen, we need weaponsmiths, we need people that know how to authentically make clothing.
Viking culture, modern Viking culture and historical Viking culture is a very, very useful thing to bring to any country. There's lots and lots of skills that have been forgotten that have been resurrected in the Viking scene. It's a very hands-on experience, and as well as that, people get to interact with other people from different countries and different cultures on a real level.
Yeah. I got my Carl Love. Where were you when you got your Carl Love?
Yeah.
So you got that from a spear today?
I did. Yes, I got that from Carl. Those are my Karl Marx.
Karl Marx.
You'll realize real quick that it does not take a lot.
That's what spears does, man. We got to bring Europe over to them, and then hopefully when they can get it together, we'll get them over to Europe, and then they can kick some European ass. They're not used to having spears like this. You know, you get a good spearman, and they can do a lot of killing. But a lot of people want to just carry swords and shields and look good. And in big lion fights now, it's all spears, and it's a war of aggression and attrition.
As a commander, you've got to be able to do anything that you ask your guys to do, but you should have guys that do it better than you.
When I met Phil Bertham, I remember him kind of stopping me for a second, and he looked at my arm and he said, "You look like a Viking," and then he walked away. That was when I met Phil.
Come on, guys. Come on, those that are in, get in.
Dave Kilburn is one of these people that's just like pure Viking, because he just sort of existed one day and became what he is. You can't make a man must make himself, and Dave Kilburn is a self-made man.
We're Runes of Honor from Austin.
I took a couple classes on Viking myth, and that kind of got me really interested in doing more research on history, and that led me kind of in this convoluted path to where I ended up at Viking invasion in Waco one year. You know, it's like, oh fuck man, Vikings are here, let's go, these guys are from Europe, this is going to be awesome. So that kind of led us to it. Both me and my brother, and where Runes of Honor lies along that is kind of what got me ultimately into this whole Viking thing in the first place, because all the sagas and things like that are all epics, basically. I had seen in the past some SCA combats at Renaissance fairs and things like that, and it never really had that authentic flavor that this did. You'd get bits and pieces from the fairs and things like that, but it always was kind of peripheral. I met Clint about a year ago, and we became pretty quick friends. It's been very enjoyable. I mean, it's very rare that you meet people like that in your life that you have these same parallel interests with.
Is it a bladder? Oh, it's a scrotum? No way. Like a little coin pouch?
Yeah, just do it like a circle pouch. You know what I mean? Condition it and do it like a circle pouch.
Guys, like I said, thank you. Thank you.
So is that a bull scrotum or a buffalo scrotum?
I would say bull.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to put up my hand on the Bible and tell you that's what it is, but that's what I think it is.
Yep, me too. I've gotten real involved with doing leather work. I've never done anything like that before, but I've kind of developed a knack for it. And now I'm making leather safety equipment for all the guys worldwide. So I use that little scratch of a living so I could just get up every day and spend most of it training and exercising and reading the Havamal and pestering Dave a lot. But I think that the option to take up the sword and live as a warrior is something that you're called to do. I came and attended a training of theirs and had a real good feeling from the get-go. They were fighting with full-weighted steel, and I thought that was really unique. A lot of Western martial arts groups tend to want to kind of pad up or fight with wooden or rattan weapons, and I kind of felt like fighting with a full-weight weapon was a much more legitimate way to pursue Western martial art. There's a blacksmith for our group. His name's Paul Benz. He's based out of England, and most of us have weapons that he's custom forged for us. They have a spring steel core, so the weapon is extremely flexible and returns to its state. But when struck against other weapons or shields or axes, it doesn't burr. Like, you'll see some bruising on the metal and some scoring, but nothing that is edged or dangerous. Why do Texans do Viking reenactment? You don't have any Vikings in Texas. I've never really perceived that it's about lineage. I think that being a Viking is more of a mindset. You read the Jomsborg saga, I always kind of got the impression from it that it was a system of a group of fighting men where your merit put you in place. And I think that the Jomsborg Army is just that. It's, if you want to be something in it, there's really no limits. You just have to step up and pick your path and follow through. To me, that's what it means to be Jomsborg.
You throw to the opposite shoulder first. This shoulder, this leg, right?
Put this on it, dirty. Keep your
I understand.
Keep your head up.
I have a shorter sword, so I closed really hard. Her block came up. She brought the point down to try to keep me away, and just right there, popped me right in the head.
We try and keep blood out of our shows. It's not something that we endorse at all. Like showing the public that level of violence.
Taking up the sword is not for everybody. The people that it's for, I think it really speaks volumes in their lives. The people that dedicate themselves to military reenactment or any kind of martial arts, it's usually a very life length goal. The rewards are pretty much limitless. It's like, how far do you want to go with it?
RAVENSBORG is here in northeast Missouri. It's a Viking reenactment ring fort made for living historian reenactments in the Viking time period. Our mead hall is the centralmost building that's most often used here. We do our gatherings here, we do our meetings here, we do our feasting here, and at night we clear the benches and set it up for sleeping arrangement. Just a big community hall. Just like in Beowulf, there's warriors laying on the benches down both sides of the mead hall, fire pit in the center, smoke holes in the roof, and it makes for a comfortable gathering place and a good place for celebrating our different events.
And it's been a pretty unique experience doing all that cooking over the fire and using period tools for cutting all the vegetables and authentic ingredients, and it really adds to the experience, I think, of being here. It's interesting to do this sort of cooking experiment because everything takes a little bit longer than you expect, but the result is so cool. It's so yummy.
Reenactment is when you are trying to portray an actual event with actual people that has already happened, and you're trying to jump into their roles. But what we're doing here is we're trying to learn what we have researched, we're trying to put it into actual effect, and trying to live in that immersion. That's living the history.
This is your Viking kit or whatever is basically it's like a tuxedo. I wear it when I go to a wedding. Well, I wear my Viking kit when I go to RAVENSBORG. But I don't wear a tuxedo and become like James Bond. I'm still a drunk Irishman.
So Dorsa near Heine, RAVENSBORG.
RAVENSBORG!
Highland Games is a Scottish heritage festival here in San Antonio, Texas. This is my first time to come to it. The group has been doing a fighting and encampment event here for several years. We did our morning show already. We had a successful fight, good audience, did some Viking games, and then some of the agility activities that the women do.
First I got acquainted with what was developing into the Elag was in 1994, Georgetown Viking Fest. That grew and grew, and when we had a gang come over from Europe to demonstrate what this is that we'll be doing today, it just took a bunch of us. And we said, that is fun, that's entertaining. Why don't we do that here? And that started the Elag. When you get to be 72, it's a little hard to keep up with these 30 and 20-year-olds.
We'll be doing circles of treachery, circles of honor. We'll be doing hero circles, is where the crowd comes out, and they choose 4 people from the crowd to come out and choose 4 of the Vikings to fight each other. Hero fights. And ends up one man wins and he's the hero. And whoever chose that warrior ends up getting a prize from the group.
That sounds awesome.
We have been out here 5 times now. We started 5 years ago. Highland Games, a little bit different because of the Celtic environment. Said, well, you're Viking invasion, right? Said, yep, so who are you invading? Highland Games. The beauty of this is that everything we do out here, it's competitive. It's not choreographed. So for one, you got to be sharp. You've got to train a lot. And it's, like I said, it's competitive. So there's a lot of testosterone out there on the field. And everybody brings their A game, so that's something that I really enjoy out here. You know, something I work at a hospital in the mundane world, in the Viking world, come out here and just let it all out and have a blast.
The amount of time that we spend training people and recruits that want to get involved with this, we don't do it for money at all. We do it because we love it, and we're very connected to each other in that way. So that's Texas. So you take that same idea and apply it to the greater Jomsborg Army internationally, and you have that same thing. You will go off and go Viking and make these same bonds with people from around the world. And when you make these connections, they're lifelong. Like I've been in situations already in this group where I have been very hurt and needed help and got help from these people. And it was really, really special to get that.
First game we're going to play is called King of the Circle. It has 2 rules. There's a circle, and the last person in it wins. So, when you guys say now, they start the game. Warriors, are you ready? Ready! Are you ready? Ready! 1, 2, 3! The garments that we wear are reconstructions of archaeological finds. The weapons and armor we wear are reconstructions of archaeological finds. And our group has...
What just happened?
Well, we were doing our Viking games. It's called King of the Circle. It's kind of like a wrestling last man standing deal where we throw each other out of a rope circle. And we were just getting into it, and when one of the fighters was going to grab me to get hold of me to put me out, they actually pretty much just kind of clocked me in the face. It's not too bad, these things happen, but my vision is kind of impaired, so I'm probably going to sit out of this fight, and if I get the swelling down, I'll try to fight in the next fight. What's going on? Well, I'm making a short little trip to the hospital tomorrow to have some plastic surgery done on my face and ocular cavity of my right eye. The swelling has been more manageable, but yeah, I got pretty puffy at the upper part of the eyelid here and right under where most of the breaks are. The breaks would be in this region, but deeper, not superficial. So pretty much what happened is we just got into it, and when one of the other fighters was going to give me a good shove out of the ring, he ended up putting the heel of his hand into my face. So just kind of got off on the targeting accidents and whatnot. But turns out, as you could see, taken quite a bit of damage to my right eye, and all of those nerve bundles and muscles that control the tracking of the eye have kind of just gotten impinged and bound up, and I've even lost all sensation in the right side of my face, and having stuff like, you know, slurred speech, as you probably notice, and all kinds of just uncomfortable skin crawling kind of sensations going on there. Not really seeing too good out of the right because it's kind of
blurry.
The swelling.
Okay.
The eyelid is kind of obstructing it.
And this is the implant that I was describing to you. So what we did, you had a significant size of the implant, and obviously we put it there, and we in an attempt so that we cover the orbital floor and bring your the globe or the orbital contents back into the right orbit.
Basically, once this is scarred properly,
yes,
I could get hit in the face again and take it just like I would on an undamaged bone. And he called it 100% break, which means basically the whole way back, all the floor was broken out.
Viking culture, the Viking lifestyle, being abroad, being on sea voyages, like that kind of really kind of sparked something in my head. Even my folks now, they know about all this stuff and going to Europe and going on campaign and, you know, working out of friends' garages and making leather goods. They know about all of it. You know, I'm a 34-year-old man, but I don't ask them for money. I don't put myself in a position to rely upon anybody. I just accept lesser living expenses and live simply, and they've actually got a lot of respect for that. Well, the Europe trip is, of course, the first time I've ever done anything like this. You know, I've been to England before in high school, but this is a whole different kind of thing. This is like going for 7 weeks, where pretty much every week I'm going to be involved in either rigorous training or some type of large numbered live steel event. And I've spent the past 3 months after my eye surgery basically getting back in fighting shape and getting all of my equipment and trying to make as much money as possible to float me along while I'm out there. I've been told by not only my surgeon but my prescription eye doctor as well that it's healing really good. Most of the nerve damage in my face has subsided and healed. I feel good about it. You know, as long as I could keep spear thrusts out of there, I think I'll be good. I'm trying to push making this equipment, wrist equipment and hand equipment, that is a little stiffer and more padded to kind of cut down on breaking bones and fingers and stuff like that.
Are you nervous at all about Poland? There's been a lot of talk about the Eastern Viking community kind of being a little rough. And
absolutely. It's that good kind of nervousness, the kind of nervousness that keeps you on the top of your feet and ready to move. You know, I'm not scared of any man one way or the other. I've already been severely injured doing this. I've been severely injured before. I'm not worried about that. You hear rumors about they just kind of have like this rough kind of careless style, and I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I'm not really concerned about that. Seems to be doing his job. My steersman, Dave Kilborn, isn't going to get to make this campaign. So, like, a lot of my brothers are still going to be here in Texas all summer. A couple of us are going, I think about 6 total. But there's still a large group that's not going to get to make the trip. And yeah, I'm going to miss these guys. It's going to be an absence. And not to mention, like, I have a wonderful girlfriend who I happen to be really into and spend a lot of time with. And 7 weeks is kind of a long absence, so they understand what it's like to have a passion and to piss off the grid for a while and do it. Like, I think that I got all their support, and all those friendships and bonds will be right there waiting for me when I return.
That's why I put on there big hooks, big worms and everything, and try to get them to not take it. But you just can't stop. You can't stop them, they're so greedy. As you can see, that ain't going to survive.
Yeah.
Well guys, that's about it. I think I've got a few. You can see I can do it. It doesn't take much. But that's about me done now. That's enough for breakfast.
Mosgar is a very, very special place. The atmosphere built up around the camp is one of traders and warriors and people who just want to come and have their holiday in the Viking scene. They bring their children, their pets. The festival atmosphere is one of, I'd like to say, one big family meeting together.
Do you need a place to crash? I've got a big Saxon tent that I need to set up that you can share with the Americans. I've got 5 Americans going in there.
I find the people we have a like-minded interest. You can choose your friends, and I've chosen a good group of people which I've got a great amount of respect for, and I just feel so comfortable within the Viking community. They're the closest thing I've got to a real family. So yeah, it's just very special for me to be a part of it.
Hey, beautiful. There you are. Take the ball.
Okay. Table, I want around the fire pit and everything tonight. Yeah? Let's be over here. We built it, let's use it. Yeah?
Well, I'm happy to see so many people here.
This couple, they wanted to become one. From the start, it's a man and a woman, and now they want to become one. They wanted to spend their life together, and I helped them in front of all their friends, the gods we know, the gods that we don't know. And this commitment is for them, for life, and for eternity. Because life doesn't end in this existence, and they promise to be faithful in all existences.
Ivar and Martina! Ivar and Martina! Ivar and Martina!
Line up! Come on, people! Get your gear! Form America! Fuck yeah!
Several groups represented here, not all part of the Jomsborg Army, and that makes it interesting because you get to see these other groups that have very similar goals and ideas, and you spend the week training most of the day. You have options to go to workshops that maybe focus on a weapon or maybe focus on a type of role in a battle like a skirmisher or a line fighter or something specific like that. You have the ability, if you want to and if you're motivated, to basically get up every morning and train till the end of the day if you want.
Mosgar is the oldest market here in Denmark, and it's also one of the largest markets in northern part of Europe. And I think it's about 30 years or something like that it's been running. And even though there are groups with mixed fighting styles, we all agree on a fairly basic system, which really works, which makes it possible to do huge competitive battles. We do hit in or fight in full tempo, but because of the blunted edge and the level of training, we are actually capable of taking care of each other without too many injuries. But of course, accidents do happen. So.
You had a couple injuries today?
Yeah, unfortunately. Some fairly bad ones, but that's not really that regular. We had 2 spear thrusts near the eye. Nothing seriously ended up happening. It was just 2 cuts on the inside of the eye and on the outside. So, but they're okay, the guys.
Yeah, it was a thrust with a spear. So someone thrusted your corner of your eye, basically.
Yeah.
There's an option.
So they're a little high.
A little bit.
That's our Polish hobby, you know. We're just falling down on something and just cut our eyes, you know, so head or whatever.
Yeah.
Normally, when you do an injury like that, you always take care of the guy who's injured. It's very much a gentleman's sport in that way.
I learned a lot. Negative reinforcement. Actually, that's not negative reinforcement. That was straight up punishment. But I learned a lot. It was awesome. Kept some spear points down long enough for my spearman to get some hits. Eventually I got it in the chest or the armpit, but it's all good, man. This is wonderful. Incredible. I love this.
What is it that compels you to do this?
I don't know. Next question. You can't just describe it. It's just you know, like you'd fight in a real battle. So it's really cool, you know, adrenaline and everything. So, and you can try yourself really, because if you train, then obviously you want to go to the battle to, you know, see if you're good enough. If you're not, then you know what do you need to improve.
There's lots of spears out there.
Lots of spears?
Lots of spears. They have more than we do.
I hate spears, but they love me.
Yeah, Adam got caught in the eye, side of the eye. He's fine.
Oh, okay.
He's fine.
But yeah, it's fun, man.
If you fucking die quickly, we all die quickly. Remember our spine, the backbone of this, okay? Okay then, begin! Keep in line!
So you're just getting guys up to speed in line fighting, basically?
In unit fighting.
In unit fighting, okay.
You know, it's very hard. I mean, with people coming from around the world, so... but it just gelled today. I'm so happy. And we're going to kick some ass on fucking the weekend, man.
Gain access 2 meters to the from one end to the point, and we're going to measure it. We are going to have help from Søren, Daniel, and Suzanne.
Just cut it off and take the ice with a knife.
Legal or not?
Oh, but I think I remember this beer. You got one more? This should be okay. It should be 3 meters.
The target area is the shoulder, the upper body, the thighs, down to the knees, but not including the knees. All of the backside, of course, and the bump, and the crutch. It's painful, but there you are. This is all target area.
We have to check everyone's weapons to make sure there's no sharps here, no burrs on the weapons, that they're the right length, and also everyone's authenticity, just to make it look good for the public. You know, they want to keep it as Viking as possible.
He has his camp down there by the water.
To decide who is going to take which side of the battle, we would have a football match in the old-fashioned way.
Say fucking football, defense.
The army of Jomsborg will have Bjarne. Where is Bjarne? Thank you. Bjarne will be the one going on the field as the commander, the king of yours. Cattle die, kindred die, every man is mortal. But I know one thing that never dies, the glory of the great deed.
How long have you been on campaign this year?
Well, this year?
Yeah.
I've been on for 6 months.
6 months?
6 months fully, yeah.
Where'd you start?
I started in Denmark, in Ribe, and then I ended up here in Moskva. But I've been going up to Trondheim, Viking Market, Oslo, Skåne, Gothenburg, all that places.
Where are you from?
Australia.
So you came all the way to do this?
Yeah, to learn. Actually, I wanted to do something different completely, and I had an opportunity to do it. So I decided, well, why the hell not? Let's live a different life for a while. And it's very hard back home because you don't get access to any of this kind of things. And for any one of the trainers to come out to Australia is way too far for us as well. So we just we try to come here every 2 years, and this time I want to be here for 2 years to do a lot of more learning, the crafts, the understanding of the weather, you know, the whole seasonal aspect that the Vikings would have actually faced, you know. So, yay me!
So first it will be Edgar, then we'll have Ask Black team, then we'll have North Storm, rest of Ask, West Storm, Spear Coast, Rimiger. Okay, that's the way we're going to march.
This is what you've spent years training for. Can you feel it? Yeah! Can you feel it coming up? Yeah! We're going to go out there and we're going to fight with full power! Yeah! Full power! Forward! We are going to do ourselves honour out there. We are going to fight like motherfuckers. Today the plan is no fucking stopping. No waiting for the other flanks to catch up. It's just get into the fuckers and crush them. Vikings! Fire burning. We got our asses kicked. I was killed by my opposite flank commander with a knife
I was the sole survivor of my right flank, and the left flank commander met me, who didn't know me, and we collided and he killed me with his knife, and the enemy killed him. That was my glorious ending.
Well, I ended up falling to fill in a gap in the line. Runners do that sometimes. If the gaps get too big, you got to fill it. And I was on that last push with the spears. I mean, it's over in about 7 minutes, but it's like the longest 7 minutes of your life. You know? And it's really neat to see something go on that magnitude with the level of competition that they have.
Any serious injuries?
Nope.
Well, then I think you should give yourself a big applause.
Thank you very much to everyone who ended up the point of this. I felt it was a very epic death today. Really enjoyed that.
Man, I've lost 3 battles, but we fucking won one. We went, as our commander said, we went out in a blaze of glory.
How do you feel, man?
Hey?
How do you feel?
I feel fucked, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, nothing is more disappointing than dying and spending 15 minutes on the ground and getting up and seeing in that pile of horseshit a chainmail grid. Because I only have chainmail on my helmet. I'll tell you this, when we were marching down there and we were chanting "And Here You Are," and there was hundreds of guys ahead of me in column, hundreds behind in column, marching, chanting together, like my arms, the hairs on my arms stood up. It was like tingly awesome. It really has been a significant experience for me in terms of actually being part of a military unit, which I don't have any experience with, and just having to accept that life's not fair, and sometimes you get put places you wish you weren't, and you just gotta do it and accept it and let go and have fun and do your best. And that's been helpful, like in thinking about stuff in my other life, my real life. It's been a nice kind of perspective shift. So it's been, I was told, our steersman said, you'll be a different person after first Mosgard. And yeah, it's been powerful.
But my challenges have been mostly like figuring out how to really enjoy my time here, even though I'm not here as a fighter. Coming in as a little bit of an outsider to a group of people who already know each other is a little stressful for a while, and then you get past that, and then you're kind of part of the group.
Thank you to all of you!
It's real when people come here with one purpose, and that's to beat each other up for a week and meet in the inn and be good pals, and that I like a lot. So I think that's the most fine part about Mosgard. We have no troubles here, no fighting, no shit. Everything is okay. So I'm a happy chief.
The audiences are huge. I mean, we get good attendance at our Texas shows, but in comparison, it's not even on the same scale. The Mosgard Festival is basically the quintessential event to attend if you want a wide variety of Viking Age reenactment and live steel fighting.
go all the way to the Wolin market. It'll take us all of today and perhaps some of tomorrow. If anything, like making the trip might kind of be therapeutic mentally and make my arm feel better. But it's a good group of guys, the Jomsborg Elag, so I think it'll be a lot of fun. Probably a lot of drinking and vodka, but I expect to have a great time. Really good pickles.
To be a Viking doesn't mean I pretend that I'm from Scandinavia. No, I'm the Viking because I do the Viking. I'm at the same time I'm Slavic, which is my identity and my culture. The boat is a reconstruction of a wreck found in Wolin. It's a Slavic boat from 10th century. It's 11 meters long and 3 meters wide. The mast is 6 meters high and the sail is 24 meters. We are traveling from Szczecin to Wolin on the boat, like authentic way.
Really cool about Wolin is when you're there at the event, they have the whole village laid out like a city. Not only are there several more houses built in the Slavic Viking way, there's wooden sidewalks that connect them all. So when you're walking around and you're doing maybe you're shopping or just meeting people, you really feel like you're walking around in a 10th century Slavic village. The fighting in Wolin it's different. So we have this system that's based more in the West. The Western Jomsviking system is based more on accuracy and footwork and targeting and agility and control. Whereas in Poland, what they call the Eastern style, these guys go at it full tilt. They're wearing all of their heavy armor. It's a heavy infantry fight. And there's no real target restrictions other than they don't want you thrusting at the face. But headshots are a legal target. You're going to get hit in the hands, you're going to get hit in your knees and your ankles. All these things are possibilities. And the level of aggression is much higher. But it's definitely the new frontier for martial Western fighting.
This is Huskal. It was started by Olben Depper, the Joms Viking in the red Gamazon.
We're doing a style now called Huskal, something I started about 10 or 12 years ago amongst reenactors. I suggested that we should use the weapons like a weapon instead of a point scorer. So instead of just trying to get contact and score a point like a gentleman's sport, I thought we should train it like a martial art and use it like a weapon. So our starting point has been treat the weapons as sharp, treat the opponents as unarmoured, and look for a hit that would end the fight. We have these special masks now. They're extra hard, so they're weapon proof.
Okay, so it's like a...
They look like normal masks, but they're extra strong steel. Fencing equipment company in Germany makes them. However, it has begun to custom make them now to suit our game instead of sport fencing. So they've started to put extra padding on the back, extra protection.
Pretty intense.
Yeah, it is. That's what's the kick. You know, that's what's special about it. You can bring some kind of fighting spirit into it, which I always felt was lacking before. You know, you've got that extra power and pressure that comes from somebody really threatening you.
Alright, man, so tell me a little bit about some of the Slavic gods.
Slavic gods?
Yeah.
So, for example,
It's Światowid, one of the biggest gods of Slavs. He has 4 faces which look to the different parts of the world at the same time. Yeah, so like one of the really biggest gods. You cannot hide nothing from him. Like in Nordic culture, there is many different gods.
Do swojej świątyni przynosicie je.
Tak. The cultures mix together. So, for example, it was in the old times. It was like when you, for example, were I don't know, from Sweden, and you were like at the coast of Slavic territory. You were giving sacrifices to Slavic gods. This is the god of the area, and he rules here. So you were praying to him, yeah, at the moment.
What do the Christians think about that?
They think it's that we are just playing, or that we are praying to Lucifer or something like that. Church basically destroyed all the pagan religions in this area after like 200 years. Most of it was totally annihilated, except for those things, of course, which was taken into the Catholic church practices. Because when you have some elements in the religion which you are used to, it's easier for you to change your fate.
Drużynie i tej ziemi przyniesie przykrość, a wszyscy wokół niechaj będą tego świadkami.
See a lot of swastikas out here.
Yeah, swastikas are basically symbol of the sun, and it's okay. Many cultures have it, but we treat it as our symbol. Yeah, so we wear it, we have it, and we will not let any stupid people tell us that it's some symbol of something bad. It's ours. And during the Nazi times it was just stolen from us, and it's ours. We will use it because it's ours.
Wolin event is the biggest Viking event in the world, and it's really fascinating because it's the place where really everybody meets, like people from more than 20 countries. We can trade and buy goods from all over Europe and more.
The event is really good because it brings together so many different people from different cultures. You find people from Canada drinking with people from Lithuania, you find Vikings from Moscow, and they are partying with people from Sweden, people are trading, people are exchanging ideas on experimental archaeology, and it's really, really valid for culture, for understanding the culture of the past and how it relates to the culture of the 21st century Viking.
Ważne. Zatem życzę wszystkim głębokich przeżyć, wrażeń i oby jak najlepiej nam udało się poznać i cieszyć się kulturą Morza Bałtyckiego.
XVII Międzynarodowy Festiwal Słowian i Wikingów uważam za otwarte.
Po tym wszystkim, bracia, zabawmy się i zróbmy show!
Raz, dwa, trzy, cztery. Anonimi, żakie face, anonimi, hej!
oznacza wojnę. Jomsborg!
A real battle. I looked at the fight on YouTube or something a few years ago and I was shocked. Oh, how brutal does it look? When you're in, it's not that bad. It's really fun. It's adrenaline. It's you're squeezed. I'm usually running behind line, trying to command. Actually, people in Poland, but also in Czech Republic, in different countries, they train almost only to prove themselves here in Wolin. Nothing else counts at all for them. You have 500 warriors on the battlefield. This is why this battle is so real.
You get to hit as fucking hard as you want, and it's brilliant. You know, it's dangerous. There was tons of people that were like severely hurt. Everything between broken fingers to mangled arms and face shots and everything else. All these shots were coming in at my head, and you know, we never trained the headshot in Texas, at least not yet. I'm sure we'll start working on that.
What kind of weapon do you use?
It's a Danax.
Which is about how long?
Well, nose height for me, because I fancy seeing it would be something like this, so I could lean on it, but I prefer to have it here, because it gives that extra bit of reach.
So you got kicked out of the battle today?
Yeah, I apparently was more or less getting on too hard for them, which is strange because that's normally what the other side do. It's normally the Russians they go absolutely mental, and I guess today it was my turn. Next year I dye my gambits in black so they won't recognise me, and I'll do it again.
The marshal's job is specifically to make sure that the fighters are not fighting dangerously, they're not doing stupid things, they are taking the kills when they're killed, and crowd safety, making sure that the fight doesn't go into the audience.
Yeah, and we have quite a tough marshals, which sometimes they overreact, but they have to, otherwise this thing will be impossible to control. So they have the magic sticks and they kill. And if you complain, the kill is the hit is a hit. It's not a touch.
You're out. You're out. You're out. You're out.
We go shirtless because we need to be immediately identified. Any form of clothing, when you're wearing a helmet and when your adrenaline's going, could look like padded armor or anything like that. So going shirtless means it's obvious who we are at a glance.
You okay? You okay? Move. You gotta a man down. Away! Back up, back up. Injured man here, go away! Back, go that way. Everybody down, go down. Go! Get down. Go! We have an injured man here. Let's get him off. No, we need to get first aid here. First aid? Yes. All right.
It's a kind of a different kind of intensity from actually fighting. Yeah, you do feel very unprotected. You do need to be very aware of where the fight's going, whether it's coming towards you, going away from you, and how you can get in to get to people, because there's backswings going on all the time from people's weapons. Their weapon doesn't just go forwards, it also goes backwards. So if you're coming up from behind someone, you have to be very aware of where that man's going to put his weapon. And yeah, you feel naked, you know, shirtless, helmetless, gloveless, just with a stick. It's a rush.
That was a real fight today. The opposition came on incredibly strong, especially in the last round, and they just kept fighting and pushing and pushing, and they just had the will to win. This isn't Mo's God, this isn't reenactment, this is a fight with weapons, close combat, and it's in your face.
Sometimes the helmet are smashed and there's some minor scratches, let's say.
Have a bit of a headache, that's all. What happened? An axe, right flank. And this is a Polish helmet, so it's strong, you know how strong the blow is.
These guys really want to hit you with everything they've got, and they're like hungry wolves, and you're just red meat.
Well, we lost today, lost twice now.
Zaraz po tym konkursie kolejny konkurs na najzacniejszą fryzurę damską, również otwarty dla...
Because we gave them silver wolves. Silver wolves have been fighting with us for 3 years and they know our tactics. They're just matching us. But tomorrow, we will smash them, punish them. This is the crack unit, and they always fight as our striking arm, and we gave them to the enemy to give them a chance.
But the Russians, right?
Yeah, no, not Russians. Silver wolves. There's more than Russians.
То есть это почти реальный бой, но при этом остается место для благородства и для чести.
He said that the Eastern way of fighting is the closest to the real battling.
So you understand the responsibility?
Yes, of course.
This is one of the most dangerous weapons, and I can see that you're both...
It's like every year, too.
I can see you're both intelligent, sensible guys. Yes. And your weapons are well presented, and you know what you're doing. You know the rules. Yes. So now I'm going to get you your sashes, okay? So wait here. If I knew what the Vikings theme was all about, then I'd probably be bored with it. I don't know what it's about, because it's constantly evolving. It's about discovering some sort of martial skill, some sort of fraternity, some culture that we've lost, you know. And by learning martial skills and discovering that, you know, we were once warriors instead of couch potatoes, we find something else about ourselves.
How humbling it could be. Like I feel like I'm on a good path and I'm really moving forward with all my skills and my ability, but it's like to come out here and fight with European fighters has been very humbling. So that would probably be the most like prominent theme I've taken.
They are training, doing this 20 years, so it's very, very long.
Unfortunately, I met this complete asshole called Igor Gorovich and his friend Ragnar from Silver Wolves. Both of them homosexuals, I believe.
Он сказал, что мы геи.
There they are now.
То есть это непосредственно их тема научных работ, это очень интересно.
Most of the guys from Silver Roof are historians and archaeologists, and you know it's cool to do this alive, like you know this reenactment. So that's why they are doing mostly, you know. Lots of people from all over the world. A few years ago there were even Vietnamese Vikings. You know, it was a bit weird, but
fantastic, a true market. Not something like we see in America, but soon in America we will have this, I'm sure.
You've been injured, kind of like Clint, but different eyes. So tell me a little bit about how
I've been
happened.
training with my friends, and I wasn't in good shape. So I received a sword in the eyes that popped up my eyes 14 millimeters, and now I have scars, and my eyes is not really good as it was. So I have a patched helmet until my healing will be 100% good.
we all are like big family, you know, and we are talking in the same code, you know. So yeah, so that's it. That's it. And now I'm from Triglav, and my name is Boris. Thank you very much.
No właśnie, że są tam nasze smyki. Wody. No.
It's August 8th, so I've been on campaign for a little over 4 weeks, almost 5. I mean, I actually have been doing quite well with it and haven't been uncomfortable until I got to a point where I was having to stay in a wet tent that collapsed, and it just doesn't really ever dry, especially if the weather is still bad and you have this tent that fell on the ground and wet, so everything in it is wet, you're wet, and there's just no way to really dry it out when the weather is still misting and, you know, consistently raining afterwards. So after being in that for about 3 or 4 days, I definitely got sick, and I've been kind of behind a cold for about the past 2 weeks. So it's been rough. It's on as far as the health side, but I think that I'm handling it pretty well. I haven't like had any, you know, breakdowns or nothing. I've been able to keep taking part in everything and being involved.
Sprechen Sie English? No, not Deutsch.
It's fantastic.
Awesome sauce.
Lovely weather. It's been a bit wet, but we're staying dry for the most part, having some good show fighting in Germany this weekend.
Yeah, what happens to your shoulder?
Fighting with 2 weapons against the Danex, and I got locked up with my shoulder up in the air, and then someone else came up to me and parried both of my weapons in a partial dislocation that I had to wiggle back in. So I'm out here just getting teased by all the fighting that I can't, you know, participate in. I did get a tattoo actually at Trelleborg, Sweden.
Traditional way?
Yeah, traditional by hand. And the head we had inspired by the Jomsborg wolf head. So when we were sitting there, Kai was sitting there modeling the serpent head after this wolf.
But this has actually turned out to be a pretty good market, even though we've had bad weather and it put off the fighting for the first part of the day yesterday. There's really good turnout here. I was expecting less people, and the layout of the museum and the grounds is really impressive in comparison to some of the other ones that were more like a open field.
The life here in this town, in this museum, was real for real Vikings and steady. The warriors and the fighters and the traders are staying here on the market from 13 different countries here in Europe and States. It's a great market. I hope I see all you guys next year again here on this battlefield. And we have more fun. Better weather. We are Vikings, Slavonic Vikings.
wszystkich wolnych najemników z tej części Europy i zachciało ci się skarbów Jomsborga. Jedyne złoto, jedyny skarb, który dostaniecie, to stal! Wasze bebecie! Tą włócznią poświęcamy naszych wrogów Bogom na ofiarę! Będziesz miał nasze srebro jako dary grobowe!
Brotherhood, these guys that you've never met before in your life are looking out for you on the field, so you not only win the battle and bring victory to Jomsborg, but also so you don't get your head smashed in and injured while you're out there. That kind of brotherhood has a more realistic turn to it when you're put in a full contact battle situation.
That was fun. That was fun. That was fucking fun.
Brilliant.
Fucking brilliant.
Ostatnie starcie na 17. Festiwalu Sławionych Wikingów należało do Armii Jomsborga! Trzeci dzień Festiwalu Sławionych Wikingów! 3-0 dla Jomsborga!
It's really a unique festival because you can go and have this really immersive experience, and on top of it you could get out there and fight with a bunch of maniacs.
Everything worked good. I even took a Danax to the hand once, and I'm fine. A full swing Danax over the head.
The trick you got to learn when it gets that tight is how to tumble the dead.
Yeah.
I had no footing, so I was basically tumbling.
Slid down a line of shields.
I'm going to continue to do Joms Western style, and I'm going to do full contact as well. You don't just do one or the other, you do all of it.
You were on time, yeah. No clock. Italians were early, yes? Of course.
So. You have to know that we didn't eat to be on time. Me too. Yes, but we are Italians. It is different.
And now we must eat, yeah?
Absolutely.
Everybody's laughing, everybody's drinking, and we forget the only reason why we win is because we are a brotherhood. We stay together, we think like one animal, like wolves. That's why we win. I was there, you were here, he was there, we were everywhere. We controlled the fight this time, both flanks, centre and the right. We have to try harder. We need more men, young men, more recruits, and next year we don't lose, okay?
Okay. Yeah! We lost 2 battles yesterday. Today we won 3, and Friday we won 3. The war is ours.
Jomsborg! 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 Jomsborg!
These brotherhoods are boundless. This is, the Jomsborg Army is an international army. We have people from all over the world, whether it be Northern Europe, Eastern Europe, you know, Southern Europe, like the States, England. Like, it's a very diverse army, and anybody, no matter, even with language barriers, they were always willing to like talk with me and like interact with me. And so I've really kind of taken from this whole trip that the Jomsborg Army is indeed a brotherhood.
Poland, home of Eastern style fighting, so we thought we'd take a break and do some Huskarl. Huskarl is a fight system that Alban Depper put together. All the guys that are to a level, the ones that are traveling abroad in the summer, European traveling fighters, are going to be encouraged to get their mask kit together so we could explore this system a little more.
How many Texans took the field in the battles?
There were 7 of us. Well, we've been reserves pretty much, so we'll fill the gaps, make sure that they can't wrap around us on the flank, and it's been pretty interesting. Some fights have been kind of dull because you're just bimbling around in the back line waiting for something to open up, and others get really crazy really quick because all of a sudden you're on a flank that's crumbling and you're having to like put men in the gap.
I've been wanting to go out to Jomsborg and Wolin for 6 years now since me and Dave started, and it's been an amazing experience. And coming here to the fort that's based off of our namesake of our army is just a really also great experience. Here it is. They call it a dragon in the museum, and I think it looks a little more like a wolf, and that's what we've been calling it. You can definitely see the resemblance as our Elag symbol.
Kill!